This is the Vision 79 podcast, where my friend Sander and myself, Mason, discuss recent developments in our business and our personal growth. The name Vision 79 comes from our respective racing numbers. Sander's is 40, mine is 39, and together we have a shared vision for success in business and our personal lives. Many successful people have started small, just like us, but very few of them have documented their early years. They often say they wish they had, and given we believe in learning lessons from others, we intend to be the first to document our journey from start to finish. Today, we're joined by our good friend, a pilot in training, a first-generation entrepreneur, and incredibly motivated for his age, Everett Wong. Today, we'll be painting a picture of what Everett's life has been like leading up to today, what his business goals are, what his aspirations are for the future, and much more. But first, we like to start each episode with a brief update of where we're at in our business and personal lives so that when Sander and I look back on this in the future, we can gauge roughly where we're at. So what do you have for business this week?
Just some general laptop work. Spent the weekend working on the Porsche quite a bit. I guess sort of business related. I had a bunch of backlog on invoices and categorizing and stuff like that. So spent some time this weekend printing stuff out, putting it in binders, organizing it, cleaning the house, cleaning the garage. Did an oil change with you. And just some general laptop stuff. I neglected to actually write what I did down, but I know I worked on my laptop some. So
Gotcha. Yeah, I wrote this sheet last second. I have written down Sander is out of the business. You've officially exited. So I took the week to process that, what is now on my plate, what my ideal path forward is, and then where to push and pivot at decision points there. And then each of those paths, past those decision points.
were you able to have a meeting with the investor? Your investor?
Tonight. It's tonight.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Cool.
Yeah, it had to push from Sunday.
Got it. I wasn't sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I've got a game plan. I've got my feet under me, so I'm good.
Good, happy to hear. And I as stated earlier in the week, always happy to help and be of assistance, just not to the same extent that I was.
Yes. I'm sure we can go into it in a podcast episode, or today, or we'll just continue. We also have Vision 79 t-shirts for sale, so we'll have a Google form posted on the Instagram and in the link tree. So as we go throughout each week,
I made some posts for those.
Yeah, you made it. I posted one on the highlights today with a link. So
okay, cool.
We're taking our first order now. We'll put that in probably tomorrow or the next day. But as orders come in, we will order them and get them to people. Just
we can probably put in an order tomorrow for the ones we had so far.
Yeah, I think everyone's paid who's ordered one so far.
Yeah.
So that's great. And then for my life update, I think I'm getting promoted, which is pretty cool.
Oh, cool.
I had a meeting with my manager, like the end of year review. And last year, my manager was like, I asked him, I was like, what's the deal with promotions? And he was like, oh yeah, man, like we'll get you one. And I was like, okay. And then a week and a half later, he was like, hey man, I'm leaving. So you have a new manager. And I was like, oh, okay. And so the new guy showed up and I was like, hey, my name's Mason. My last manager left off. We're looking at a promotion. And he was like, I'm only going to be here for 2 months. So I'm not doing shit for you. And I was like, okay. And then I got my newest manager and he and I were cool for our first meeting. He was like, yeah, you sound ready for a promotion. Let's start to put a package together, do your research. And I was like, all right. And then like literally 2 days later, he messaged me and was like, I need to talk to you. And I was like, what's up? And he was really upset because I was coming in at like 11 a.m. and people didn't like that. So he very quickly got off the promotion train. But for this Q4 review, he was like, dude, your feedback came in like really fucking hot. It looks great. I want you to start writing everything out to put an actual package together. So I was like, oh, it's actually happening. And my actual boss, who I work with every day, seemingly is happy with my stuff. His review is the one that is pushing this actually through. So looking pretty good.
I got a phone call today from someone I used to maintain their car at Autobahn, and they work for a government organization that works with the FBI and CIA and other big companies. And they have something that's actually vehicle related. And so they gave me a ring, seeing if I was interested in that. So
that's cool.
I really don't know much about it. I know that it's largely classified. I know that it's government. I know that there's some software and some mechanical engineering analysis in regards to cars braking. So I don't know if that has to do with accidents or to do with mechanical failures or what it has to do with the government at all. I really don't know. But
that'd be cool.
That's all I know. Yeah, I got a call today about that.
I actually saw this podcast a few weeks ago of an ex-CIA agent talking about like all the different things that he was getting into. I think the name is John Kirikou, but he was in Greece doing some covert work trying to take down a Greek terrorist group.
Yeah.
And he had imported a armored Mercedes. So it was a V8 powered armored Mercedes. Only like 15 of them were made. This was from the 90s or early 2000s. And some British intelligence agents were working with the American CIA in Greece. And they were making fun of him for driving this big, clunky, slow car, and shit talking him and stuff. And one day he was coming into the office and he was late because there was a bunch of traffic. And when he got up to the accident, it wasn't an accident at all. It was a big, unarmored, regular Range Rover with the windows shot out and blood everywhere. And so he called the office and was like, "Hey, I'm late, but it looks like these terrorists got another hit." And they were like, "Yeah, it's one of the Brits who came over."
No shit.
And he was like, "Holy fuck." And later on, it turned out the terrorists, they used the same gun for every assassination that they made, and they left a manifesto at each of the sites. And it turns out that for this manifesto, they were like, "Listen, this is a signal killing. We didn't actually want to kill this guy. We wanted to kill the American, but we know that he travels armed and in an armored vehicle. So we didn't go after him. We picked the next best target, this British guy." So the car saved his life without even actually having to take any bullets for him.
That's wild.
But I looked into this Mercedes because I fucking want one now. They're so cool, but it's a really interesting car. I have it saved, actually. I found one on Cars and Bids, I think, and I was going to send it to you, but I forgot.
What's funny about the Mercedes thing too is that their first 6-wheel vehicle came out in the early 2000 teens. It was that G-Wagon style 6-wheeled vehicle that they made. You remember that?
Yeah.
When you go to the Mercedes Museum, they'll tell you, "Oh, this is our first 6-wheeled vehicle, blah, 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 blah." But if you look back in history, in the 1940s, Hitler had commissioned a personal Mercedes 6-wheeled vehicle. But they don't talk about that in the museum. But it is true. You go look at pictures of it.
That's cool.
So that's pretty funny.
That is cool.
Yeah, yeah. It was. They had a little episode on Top Gear about it, and they pulled up the picture. And James May was. This was back in BBC days.
Right.
James May was like, "Oh, like they didn't tell you about this 6-wheeled vehicle?" And Jeremy Clarkson was like, "No, funny enough, they didn't mention it." And then Richard Hammond was like, "Oh, well, maybe that's because it's got Hitler sitting, standing in it." And Jeremy Clarkson was like, No, that's not it. That can't be it." And then James May was like, "No, he's just giving hand signals. He's saying take the Third Reich." That's a pretty funny little skit, but
it's terrible.
Yeah, good times.
All right, my other life updates. I recruited another coach for Space Ghost Crew, which makes me 7 for 7. So I have a 100% success rate when talking to
7-0.
Yeah, I'm 7-0 with getting people on board.
Better than Jake Paul's record,
which is yeah, but none of my recruitments are rigged.
Fact.
And then I got my caloric. You helped me with a caloric deficit calculator a couple weeks ago, so I can calculate, because I realized I have 2 apps. One of which is tracking the food I eat, and the other is tracking the calories I burn from the Whoop I wear.
Oh yeah.
And so in my gym log, to keep me accountable for like what days I go to the gym, I was like, I'm just gonna start tracking what calories I eat and burn to know exactly whether or not I'm in a deficit, instead of listening to either app telling me to eat more or less. So I've been doing that, and I realized that if I don't pay attention to it, I'm either at 0 or in like maybe 100 calorie surplus. But by paying attention to this, I can really easily just not have like one extra piece of bread or one little tiny thing, and I can be in a deficit.
Yeah.
Which is fucking awesome. So thanks for the help. It's been working for me.
I totally forgot.
Yeah. Anything else?
I guess I'll quickly list off the Porsche work I did in case I ever want to look back on it one day.
Sure.
Brake master removed. New one will be installed soon. Front left caliper rebuild is underway, about 1/3 of the way through that. Brake proportioning valves, started removing it. And then planning to do fuel line stuff in the nearest future and stuff like that. So just a little bit of progress on that end, but
cool.
That's it.
Cool. Let's get into it.
Yeah.
All right. Everett Wong is from and runs his business out of Melbourne, Florida, though he lives in Orlando while he pursues his pilot's license. He's in his early 20s and immediately struck me as nothing special. Everett would ask us many questions about our business. He was always polite, but spoke very little of his own endeavors. Initially, I categorized this as another customer, curious about how our business worked, but had no real plans of executing their own. But I'm delighted to share that Everett proved to be a step above the rest, not only taking notes on our discussions without me knowing, but also following through with them and forming his own successful business. So welcome on, Everett.
Thank you.
For your second ever podcast.
Second ever, third ever. I got cut out completely of the first one I ever did.
Yep. What was your second one?
The second one, I went on there, the same podcast that I got cut out of before.
The Bruise podcast?
Breaking Bruise. Right. Yeah, the one they filmed like live on the stage. And they just asked me general questions about my business and then whether or not I drink coffee or create them in the morning.
That's it?
Yeah.
How long was your session?
10 minutes, maybe at most 5 minutes.
This one will be slightly more than 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting for me.
Yeah. So just like a brief overview. Tell us about your business, just general and speak.
All right, general about my business. What my business is I make what I call and would describe it as on my promotional posters, the super strength kratom tea. It's a little bit more complicated than that. Yeah, these two here are it. This should be my peach raspberry flavor.
I think so.
This is good.
Yeah, and they never, because they only have one tap. I give them like 5 kegs a week, and then whatever's on tap is what's on tap.
Yeah, I like this a lot actually. You had the candy apple at Kraken the other.
Yeah, I make
with that.
Yeah, candy apple's what is I get to say is the most popular.
Yeah,
That's because that's what the owners like, and that's what they buy because they drink it a lot as well.
gotcha.
But it's a super strength kratom tea. At its core, what separates it away from extracts and mitras and all this other stuff is there's 45 unique alkaloids in kratom tea. 45, give or take a couple more. They change their minds all the time depending on like who's doing the study. But roughly around 45.
Who's funding the study?
Yeah. Roughly around 45 alkaloids in kratom tea that give you the effects that you get from drinking it. And so when you drink a mitra, for example, there's only one singular alkaloid in there, which is just regular old metragenine. And metragenine is, it's not the strongest, but it's one of the strongest, and it's the cheapest to get. So inside like something like a seltzer, when you have like these extract shots, you're just getting one of those alkaloids. And so it's like, can I like talk about like weed? Can I compare it to that?
Yeah.
Okay, so
This is a free world.
I don't know what you guys like.
Trump's president now.
All right, so basically, how I describe my drink compared to a seltzer or an extract is cart versus bud. If you have like bud for weed, right? When you smoke it, not that I would know about that, it affects you a lot better. It's a more well-rounded high. But when you rip a cart, it's a very just strong oncoming. You're just really, really high, but it doesn't really feel as good. It's not as long lasting. Doesn't feel as good.
Yeah.
So those mitras, the seltzers, those extract shots, they just have that one alkaloid. It's going to get you wired, and it's going to get you wired quick, not for a very long time. You drink my stuff, since it's got the full spectrum of alkaloids in it, it gets you a much more well-rounded feeling, which is definitely what you guys have noticed that when you drink it, you get a very different feeling than you do if you drink a mitra.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Mitra is very weak too overall. At least I would say.
Yeah.
I really like this. It's a really nice tea. It's super smooth. You can't taste the actual leaf at all. And you make a bunch of really awesome flavors that I've enjoyed trying along the way, and continuing to look forward to the next run.
So I'll preface this by saying, how long have you been drinking kratom?
5 years.
I've been drinking it like maybe 2, right?
Yeah, two and a half.
And we drank it unflavored, largely.
Yep.
And
besides the lemonade trick.
That was the lemonade trick. But largely it's just unflavored. I just enjoy it that way. So we usually, when we drink tea, we can tell pretty quickly how good it is, even if there's syrup in it. Right?
Yeah.
When Sander tried this tea, he texted me or called me, and you were like, this is different, dude. It's so much better than anything I've ever had by like 50x. You have to come try it. And I was like, okay. So I came out and I tried it, and he was right. It's fucking delicious.
Yeah.
It doesn't taste too sweet. There's flavor there, but it's not overpowering. And you feel the effects really well from each strain independently. I really
Each of
love
the alkaloids. Yeah. You can really tell that this is just something different.
Yes.
Very unique.
But we're not paid in any way to say it.
No,
Everett brings us free tea, and I'm appreciative, but I'm appreciative because it's good.
No,
but it's not a paid sponsor. We actually decided that we'll never have sponsors on this podcast. So the only money that we'll ever make,
no ads.
The only money we'll ever make is from selling merch. And actually right now we're selling the merch at a loss. So it's the best deal you'll ever get, because we literally want to pay people to advertise for us right now.
We aren't paid to endorse the tea or anything like that. It's just a really incredible product. I'm super proud of you, and wanted to have you on a podcast and give you a little shout out into the interweb for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's the end of the podcast.
What got you into business in the first place? Because you're in school right now.
Yeah, I'm in flight school and in business school right now.
Okay. And in business.
Yeah, and in business, which is really funny because, a lot of my professors, like, they've never run a business before, and they're here telling me, how to run a business. And it feels really funny, taking advice from them when the advice they give me doesn't, for the most part, like what I hate about business school is what they tell you doesn't help you run a business, because you go to business school and you learn how to run someone else's business. You don't learn how to run your own business.
Right.
They teach you how to be an accountant for someone else, how to be a financial advisor for someone else. They don't teach you how to do things for yourself. They don't teach you about laws. They don't teach you, really how to
My sales and use tax report.
I'm learning.
how to avoid getting a $5,000 fine for filling out a paper that the government didn't tell you existed.
Yep. As of 2024, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just got one of those emails, dude. I don't know if you've been getting them. I get like these emails. They're little scam emails. They're like, file your BOI with us now or you're going to get fined $500.
Dude, we filed it immediately. And then I got a bunch of paperwork, and some of them look like they're coming from the state. And I'm like, oh shit. And I threw them all out. And I haven't gotten arrested yet. I mean, we even get official paperwork.
Technically, all the financial stuff is in my name, so they'd be coming to my door.
Yeah. Well, we know that
Good to hear.
the business address isn't your place though. So they still go to the business.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But
Your parents are screwed.
Yeah, we know it all. That's what happened to me, man. I started the business and I didn't tell anyone. I made an LLC, and that was the funniest week of my life, because it was when I was moving out, and then all the letters started coming into my parents' house because they send you like $1,000. If you don't fill this out right now, you're going to jail. And all these letters are coming in, and I'm having to try and intercept them. Yeah, but you get a ton of those scams. It's so funny because they look so legit too. They've got like a little seal on them and everything. Yep. I did the same thing. I threw them out. I'm just waiting like 5 years from now, they're going to knock on my door.
No, dude, they name there's little fucking scam companies like the Florida State Finance Store.
I
something
get
like
a
that.
call from like this one, and they call themselves like
fucking
tax recovery or something like that, or like
Mm.
tax forgiveness.
I get calls all the time.
Oh, really?
I get calls about student loans, and I was like, I don't even have real student loans. I'm like, I'm very fortunate to not have any.
Right.
And I get calls, and they're like, hey, like, we've noticed that you have $20,000 in student loan debt. If you want to give us a call back, we could adjust your insurance rates, blah, blah, like, or interest rates, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I never even got a fucking Sally Mae loan. Like, why are you calling me?
Dude, that's so funny, man. Yeah, I just had Sally Mae loans.
Yeah.
So your parents freak out when they get the letters?
No, but because I was able to keep it from my dad, he would have freaked out if he knew I had an LLC for a while. My mom,
Your dad's background is not in business.
no, my dad is like the only one in my family who does not like do anything with business. My mom like technically runs a business. It's not really in the same vein though. She has her own LLC, which I think is like technically her own brokerage because she does real estate and stuff.
Right.
But my grandfather actually ran multiple businesses. He was a farmer. He did really good. He ran multiple businesses. He's a really cool guy to learn from because he actually started one business. It was a multi-million-dollar business. Then he had to file for bankruptcy because he had a major accident. And then he started another business, made a huge killing there. So he's been a really cool resource to talk to.
What's his second business?
I have no idea, dude. He's got, because he don't
Laundering the insurance money from the first business.
exactly. Yeah. I have absolutely zero idea. I know his first one, he was a farmer. He was a big farmer out of Mississippi. I think they did like soybeans, tobacco, cotton, stuff like that.
Uh-oh. It's interesting. My grandfather actually
50.
My grandfather had a soy farm in Canada. He flew helicopters in the Vietnam War and then retired to Canada and had a soy farm. Dude, today,
My great grandfather had a maple syrup farm with cattle and stuff like that. My grandparents, not my great grandparents, my grandparents,
Russian side or
dad's side in Vermont.
got it?
They had, when my dad was young, they had goats, peacocks, chickens, cattle, like a bunch of different stuff. They didn't do the maple syrup anymore, but my grandparents have also been farmers for quite a long time. They don't have cattle anymore. Actually, I don't think they have any wild animals now. They sold everything. They may have like 1 or 2 cattle, but
Same with my
I think
grandparents.
so even.
They had a huge, dude, they had the sweetest little mini donkeys. There was one winter where like 4 of them or 6 of them died. So we had to rent a backhoe and dig graves for a bunch of mini donkeys. It was the saddest fucking shit. And from then on, they like slowly sold more and more of their animals, but the only ones that they couldn't really fully get rid of, apart from they have a dog kennel there, like you can leave your dogs there over vacation. But peacocks live in the rafters of the barn. They can't fucking get rid of them. They hate the peacocks and they can't get rid of them.
Yeah, my grandparents had peacock.
Yeah.
Apparently they were pretty cool. There used to be this cat my grandparents had that would like attack the goats every morning. It would like run at the goats, and the goats would friggin' kick this cat across the field. Yeah, and this cat it lived like 15 years, and every friggin' morning it'd run at the goats and it would get kicked every fucking morning.
Jeez.
And it lived a while. I don't know how, but
Damn.
it did. Yeah,
Yeah.
animals are cool. I used to catch garter, whatever snake.
Garter. Yeah.
Garter snakes in the yard and stuff, and pick them up and whatever.
I used to be a nature studies director at a summer camp because I worked at a summer camp, a sleepaway summer camp up in Georgia
Oh, cool.
for like 3 years. And I was the nature studies director because the way the summer camp worked was like they'd have the kids pick like 4 classes and then they'd spend an hour at those classes. In between, we'd have lunch, play what we called league games. We just basically put everybody on a team, gave the team like a really stupid name, like really stupid stuff. We had one of them at one time that was called Grady's Goes Mudding, and it was because he accidentally put it in the wrong hole with one of the like girl camp counselors. Fuck, dude. Like we used to have the stupidest like fucking names for these. And but I was the nature studies director, so I'd have to catch all sorts of stuff, man. I had to catch all the turtles. No, I caught crabs with something else. Yeah, but I'd have to catch all the ton of snakes, snapping turtles. What I used to do. This is real. It's gonna sound real evil, but it was really fun, and the campers loved it. I did like 2 things. It's gonna sound real evil. I used to make them catch crawfish and tadpoles, and I'd make them eat them alive. And then whoever had the most amount that they ate throughout the week of live animals,
Oh my god.
like they could bring me insects and eat them. I'd mark it down, and then I'd have a tally, and I'd give them what we call the Bear Grylls Award. And it was always. I'd find whatever the biggest crawfish I caught for the week was. I'd keep it. And we were doing the award ceremony at the end of the week. I'd give it to the kid who ate the most and make him eat it on stage. Yeah.
That's so funny, dude. It's all voluntary, so it's not like
Yeah, no, it's not
terrible or
something.
something. Yeah, that's so funny.
Social pressure only.
Yeah, it's social pressure on.
Pure peer pressure.
Did you ever tell your parents about the Bear Grylls Award?
Yeah, of course. They know about all the other stuff I used to do. I used to get them out there and I'd do what I called fort wars and have them build forts. But it was just like a distraction. I'd cut them all bamboo switches and I'd have them fight with the bamboo switches.
I met your parents once, and your mom seems like she'd be fine with that, but your dad sounds like he would not be fine with that.
Oh no, I mean like he's just really like kind of quiet, but he thought it was funny too.
Mm-hmm.
He'll just be like, "Boy,"
Why do you think you would have freaked out if he found out you had an LLC?
because I think he doesn't really want me to do it nearly as much as like my mom does.
Right.
He doesn't really like approve of it.
A little more reserved.
Definitely, he definitely wants me to go with a really safe route.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I'm getting all my flight certifications and everything.
Right.
Still having like a nice safe backup. Can't put your eggs all in one basket.
Do you want to be like a commercial airline pilot?
No, actually, my friend recruits for the Air National Guard, and I want to do F-22 interceptors.
Like fly F-22s?
Yeah, like what happens is when people cross over into like no-fly zones, or they come back in from being in international waters, and they don't hit up ATC, I fly out there and then I blow them up.
That's cool, dude.
Yeah,
It's a good goal.
yeah, it sounds really fun.
Yeah.
Or really anything with the fighter jet would like be my dream. Because I was,
Well, that's what my brother's doing right now.
you work for like Northrop Grumman, you said, right?
Yeah.
So, do you know how fast the jets you guys make are?
Yeah, but you don't.
Yeah, I've never been in one, but I can tell you the numbers.
You can't.
I can't.
The numbers are different than what the general populace knows.
The numbers are way bigger.
I can't say. I wouldn't know, but
Either way, the numbers that the general population knows are still. Did you know the F-22's got more horsepower than the entire lineup of the F-1?
yeah, dude. Actually, one of my favorite quotes ever is from the chief test pilot that Northrop Grumman had. He was giving us a tour. They actually had an E2 down for service, so we got to go up into the E2. The E2 is the one with the big radar on top, and he was telling us about like all these different jets he's flown, and we were like, "Have you flown this?" And he was like, "Dude, like dozens of times. Like we just do laps. Actually, you've probably seen me flying it before." And we were like, "Oh, cool." And so I was
I've
like,
seen one of those with the radar. Yep. Because I live by South Patrick Air Force Base.
Yeah.
Or Space Force Base now.
Yeah.
But I see that sometimes circling around and stuff like that. It's weird looking.
Yeah.
It's cool.
"You might have seen him fly too. Those are early warning jets."
I like going out at night because at night they take out their like, it's like, I don't know what it is. I'll call it a bomber. It looks like that to me.
Yeah.
Big 4-prop plane.
Uh-huh.
And it's got real props on it. It's not jet or anything like that. And they'll take that out at like 10 or 11 p.m. and they'll do circles, like
Yeah.
touch and goes
Yep.
on the strip. That thing's so sick to watch. It sounds fucking cool too.
I think those are C-137s, the cargo planes.
Man,
But I've got a photo rowing.
it's an Amazon bomber.
But rowing on the Indian River with those taxiing in the background. But this chief test pilot, I had to ask him, I was like, what's your favorite jet that you've ever flown? And he was like, dude, they got a lot of high-tech shit out there right now. But my favorite experience was flying F-15s, because they would launch F-15s from commercial airports. But the F-15's flight envelope is higher than commercial aircraft airspace. So you have to punch through commercial airspace to get up to the level that the F-15s fly at. So when you take off, you're going straight to get lift, and then you fucking just yank the stick back and you're looking straight up, and there's like fucking whatever, like 9 Gs pressing you straight down like you're in a fucking rocket launch. And the quote he used was, there was more horsepower in my left hand than in the entire starting lineup of the Indy 500. And I was like, that is so fucking cool. And that is why the numbers that they have released publicly are probably not all that they can do. But
I was just about to ask you, actually, if you've seen the F-15 Eagle 2 EX yet, the newest fighter jet that they put out.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I might not have.
It's a brand new one. It goes Mach 2.9. Probably goes a little faster than that, but that's the
2.9.
Generally speaking, what I've found is that as you go up in classification guides, the numbers get more accurate. So like if you have a car that Dodge says has like 980 horsepower, right? Maybe it actually has 1,000. And then actually maybe it has like 1,002.6. And then actually maybe it has 1,002.565, right? So it's like you can get more specific. The numbers are probably pretty close, but they're not accurate, right? And that's just for like classification reasons, right? But my brother right now, he wants to be in the Air Force special operations. He wants to fly. What he says that he wants to do is jump out of planes and kill people. And sometimes fly the planes for other dudes to jump out of them. But dude, today, Justin was showing me at his desk at work, these dudes, you can pay to go hunting, and you hunt wild boar from a helicopter. So they give you a fucking machine gun and you chase these wild boar through a fucking field like Jurassic Park and shoot at the wild boar. It's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy.
I've seen videos.
That sounds like some celebrity shit you'd get in trouble of for like killing endangered species in Africa or whatever.
The helicopter Kobe Bryant died at.
I can make a terrible joke, but I'm not going to.
So if your dad isn't really into business and it's just your grandfather, I can imagine that your parents are pushing you to do the pilot route because it's the safe route for the most part, right? What made you want to even try a business or get a business degree?
Business degree was purely because when you do flight, it looks a lot better on your resume to have a 4-year degree. Like right now, a lot of people say, oh, you don't need one because there's a huge hiring crisis. They're hiring a ton of people. But when that dries up, they're going to furlough some of them, and then they're going to keep the guys who have the 4-year degrees.
Mm-hmm.
And another reason for that is if I go into the military, I get to go straight to officer school. Like I get to do the 10-week. I think because I have my 4-year degree, I don't know if I immediately become an officer, but I think you get to just go to the 10-week officer program and then come out as an officer. You don't have to enlist the same way.
Right. Got it. So is your goal to be a pilot or to be a businessman? Or maybe both?
Okay, well, like I'd love to fly, like, myself, have some really cool planes, like fire a businessman, right? And I don't end up joining into like the Air National Guard and flying the F-22. I'm still gonna fly one. I'm just gonna buy it when I get really fucking rich. So I need the certifications either way.
I gotcha.
But I met a pilot who was flying someone else's Gulfstreams and stuff like that out of my airport. And he was telling me about his buddy who started out as a pilot too and then started his own business, and then now people fly for him. And it would be really cool to have my instructor fly for me. And
What a power trick.
yeah, it gets to be my turn to yell at him.
Yeah. It's nice to see that there's a different direction to get into flying, because my brother, and it's funny, in high school, he wanted to be a doctor. I remember he asked, because at the time I wanted to go work at the Steve Irwin Zoo in Australia and be a conservationist. So my mom gave up on me and she was like, Carter, my brother, she was like, Carter, what do you want to do? He was like, what pays the most? And she was like, that's my boy, doctors. And he was like, I want to be a doctor. And she was like, fuck him. All right. So she like encouraged him to study for the SAT and like get good grades and stuff. And so like he got into Embry-Riddle and he was like kind of interested in doing something military related, but he was like, probably just the doctor thing. And he went away for his first semester and he came back with a buzz cut wearing fatigues. And he was like, I joined ROTC and I'm in the most elite ROTC group at Embry-Riddle. My mom was like, what? And like shortly thereafter, he became like the cadet of the year and like the captain of his legion or whatever it is. And now I think this is his junior year. And he just got a pilot seat with the Air Force. So he's like going to be a pilot, which is fucking awesome. But he dedicates his entire life to it. Like everything he does is like military, Air Force.
You join the military, man. You live, breathe, eat, shit. Whatever you do is the military. You don't really, because like I don't know exactly how it works, but I know to an extent you're no longer a civilian when you join the military.
Yeah. Well, you're I think while you're actually, I don't know how fucking works. I'm not even gonna pretend to know how.
I'm not gonna pretend to my brother how it works either. Asking he'll. But I have friends who go to basic and they come out of basic and they start calling all me and my friends civvies, which is like the stupidest shit ever.
Yeah, and they don't know, like you don't know that they're the bottom of the fucking barrel in the military, but they think they're hot shit.
No, they're like infantry.
Yeah, they're just bullet sponges, dude.
Yeah,
But they speak a different language. When you start to learn like the military lingo, it's like racing lingo or rowing lingo or like whatever your special interest is, right? Like once you learn that language, you come out and you can bust it down in front of people. So if you go to rowing practice and like we put you in a boat, you're not gonna know what the fuck we're talking about. Same thing with the military, except they can interject it in conversation all the time and make you feel like an idiot. Meanwhile, it's just compensating because they like just got out of their 6-week basic and think they're hot shit. But
that's what it is with flight, dude. Like the second you sit down on one of those planes, oh my god, the lingo they use, because everything in aviation is an abbreviation, and they don't even bother teaching you what the abbreviations stand for. You just need to know, like, I have no idea what like the ADSB stands for. I can tell you what the ADSB does, but I know like I don't know what any of this stuff is. Everything's just an abbreviation that you have to memorize.
yeah. Northrop Grumman has it's over 4,000 rows long. It's an acronym list. So when you get there, and like fucking these sheets, like this sheet of paper has no real sentences on it. It's just different combinations of acronyms. And so you've got to pull up this tool and like fucking parse out everything as you read if you don't know what's going on.
We have one at NASA anyway.
Too, yeah. NASA's an acronym.
So I don't know what it stands for, but I work there.
National Air Astronauts. My dad actually tomorrow he's having lunch with the crew of the Artemis 2. So the crew that's going to be orbiting the moon in the Artemis 2, he's having lunch with them tomorrow. So if you guys have any questions for them, let me know.
I heard they had their Hollywood filming next week for the next moon flight.
Sanders of moon landing conspiracy theorists. The worst.
I'm friends with like the helicopter flight chief for NASA, the people that they go up and they take photos of the plane, or it's not a plane. The rocket. It's a rocket.
Yeah. Fuckery. Really, it's a missile. They just don't have it pointed at the right spot.
Yeah. He takes pictures of it as it goes up, and then he'll do other things for like NASA, whatever they ask him to do. Like somehow he got asked to fly out to North Carolina. I don't know why he was involved in that, who asked him to do that, but they asked him to do a bunch of different stuff. It's cool.
They got this hangar at NASA of these old Sky something planes. They're like Sky something. Someone will know probably online. But
we're the only people who watch.
I know.
But it's gonna get us some followers.
They were like the first planes to be able to fly consistently over like 60,000 or 70,000 feet or something like that, and travel at some certain speed. It was like some really high tech thing. And they have like 5 or 6 of them in this old hangar that's down by the shuttle landing strip. I got to see it on the visitor. It was like visitor day or whatever, and you could bring people in and whatever. I brought Alex and his family.
That's cool.
But yeah, those were real neat. I have cool photos of them and stuff.
Dude, do you know about the X-43?
No.
So Space Coast Crew, my high school rowing program, names all their boats after space-related stuff. So we have the Gemini. Is that
the one that hits sonic boom when the propeller goes?
No, but I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
That I think that's called the Sonic Screech or something like that. It got some kind of nickname.
Yeah.
But that so that plane, it's the first propeller plane that could go hypersonic. Or supersonic.
Wow.
And the blades, that plane that you're talking about.
Yeah.
The blade tips of the propeller would constantly move from supersonic to subsonic.
Yeah, every time they're on the downside.
So
of it.
every like fucking tenth of a second, there was a new sonic boom from each of these blade tips. And so it would actually make people on the ground deaf if you didn't have your
Yeah, well, when they first fired it up in the hangar, when they started it, there was a bunch of people in the hangar, but the two that were next to the motor suffered permanent hearing loss, and both of them completely blacked out.
Yep.
And then there were several other people in the hangar who suffered like major hearing loss, brain damage.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Yeah.
We know
There's one video of it I've seen online, and it's from like thousands and thousands of feet away, and you could still hear how freaking loud it is. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It was something like 200. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, yeah.
It was something like 220 decibels in this fucking hangar.
Yeah.
It's like ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
One of the first supersonic planes equipped with machine guns shot itself down because it fired a bullet, but it was traveling faster than the bullet, so the bullet immediately came back and clipped the weapon.
Oh, really?
Yeah. With this plane, the X-43, Space Coast names all their boats after space stuff, right? And we use a brand called Vespoli, which is a brand of boat manufacturer. I like to call it the Ford of the rowing world, because they're durable, but they're not super fast. They're kind of heavy. I would like to get that team, Filippi, which is like the Ferrari of the rowing world, but I want to call it the X-43B because it's the first aircraft that everybody knows about that has traveled hypersonic. It's gone like 5.5 Mach 5 and 5.5 or something like that.
Crazy.
But that's a NASA plane. It's the first one to do it. It's an unmanned aircraft, but still fucking insane.
Is that the missile-looking thing?
It's black. It's all
black. It's got tiny little wings.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. That thing's wild.
It rides on the back of a supersonic plane, then fires
Drops,
right? It's got a scramjet. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it drops and it goes. But like this fucking plane is going like Mach 3 and then it drops down and goes straight off from it.
I used to fly. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that. I used to fly that in this little iPhone game. It was like a X-Plane was the name of the game.
Yeah.
And I used to fly that thing. And I was trying to see how fast I could get it to go before I hit the ground.
Yeah.
That was a fun game.
Well, so X stands for experimental, right?
Yeah.
So like every plane starts off as an X plane. Or a concept plane is a Y. So like you've heard of the YF-23, which was the Northrop Grumman version of the F-22. It's still called the YF-23 because Y was a concept for it. But F-22 is fighter, H is helicopter, C is cargo, K is refueling, which doesn't make any sense. A is attack, so like the A-10 Warthog, it's an attack plane. But anyways, we're getting off topic. So you've got a passion for flying and shooting things down. And for business, how do you stay motivated to keep doing your business when shooting people sounds like so much more fun?
I think I have a hard time keeping up on stuff.
On what stuff? Business stuff or
Dude, anything. Like I can't give up on anything. I'll tell the story of why I have had to have 2 back operations done in the last month because I can't give up on shit. I just can't.
keep getting your blood
Dude,
back?
no, exactly, dude. I kept fucking hanging out with you.
Okay.
But no, basically, I go to the gym one day. I'm squatting. This dude, man, he's like 7.5 feet tall. Tallest dude I've ever seen in my life. He's got this shirt that when you flip it up, creates the word that says foot job on it. Yeah, he's this really weird dude. I got a picture of it. I can show you guys after this.
Okay.
But he comes up to me and goes, "Hey man, squat the weight without a belt the way God intended it."
Okay.
I got 335 on the bar. With the belt on, I could rep it for like 5. I'm like 4 sets deep. Take off the belt. I don't know why I listened to him, but like I never get peer pressured like that. One day I just went, yeah, fuck yeah. I'm walking into the bathroom before I go do it. I'm thinking, people hurt themselves like this. I go, but odds of it happening right now, 0. I go out there, I go down for 1 rep, come back up, I'm fine, go down for another. I go, help. And he just walks away. Because it's fucking lap. And I didn't have the safety rack set.
Jesus, dude.
Very high. And it just took me all the way to the ground. Went, boom, I hit the ground. And he comes over, he's like, are you okay? I go, fuck. Oh. And so then at that time, another little bit of information about me. I've been doing like combat sports since I was like 11. I started jiu-jitsu when I was 11. Then when I got into high school, I did wrestling. Then I stopped for like 2 years, and then I picked it back up. And at the time, I just picked it back up, and I was joining this fight team with some of my friends, which they all fight too. We're undefeated. Pretty good. Like
Far from 335.
Yeah, apart from 335, the team itself, like 5 fights, I think, and undefeated. I haven't had one though because of that incident. And so what
Nice.
I do is I hurt my back, but I don't stop working out. And so I'm working out 2 hours a day plus sparring 3 hours a day. And over that period of time, dude, one day I was we were sparring, we were doing wrestling, and I feel my back. It feels like someone pulls on your shirt like that, but if it were my muscles, someone just goes, "Zzz," and it doesn't hurt. That's the funny part. It didn't hurt when it happened. And then every day after that, I would get up and I'd walk for 30 minutes and my back would hurt. So, I went to the doctor, told me I got central canal stenosis, herniated a disc, lost a little bit of disc height, um, and some other really minor stuff, but it just kind of all added up to they're doing epidurals and trying to push the central canal stenosis back out. It's a nightmare. But
What did you learn from that?
um, hmm. Yeah, I learned, I have to say from that just because you know something, like just because you're aware of something, right, doesn't mean it can't happen to you. Like if you are told, you know, be sure you fill out all your paperwork or the government's going to fine you. Everybody gets told that, dude, but everybody still gets fined at some point. Just because, like, I've been working out for like 2 years at that point. So I thought, dude, there's no way I'm going to just like blow my back out, like in one stupid decision.
Right.
That's some shit that you do really early on. Or, when you're lifting like 500-pound squats.
I know you'll hate to hear this, but working out for 2 years is really early on.
Yes, I know.
Really early on.
I know. Worst part was this happened when I had gotten my bench up to right at 265, pushing. I had done that for 2, so I was hoping to go for 275 like the next day. And then I hurt my back and I haven't been able to max since, which is really annoying because I wanted to break into 315 is what it is. But anyways, I have a really hard time giving up on stuff. So just about every time that I make the tea, I'm like on the verge of a breakdown for sure because it's really annoying sometimes. It's a not as simple process.
Yeah.
And there's always something going wrong. You're missing something breaks. I opened like the garage door to clean out all the stuff, and a swarm of mosquitoes looked like a dark cloud came in and was trying to eat me. That was my thing for today that made me almost just give up on the business entirely. I have that like once a week where I'm like, just like, God damn it, I broke something. I was like,
I'm fucking done.
yeah, I'm fucking done. Throwing in the towel.
Yeah.
So you have a hard time giving up on stuff. You like to pursue things and to follow through with what you started. But I think at least if I look at myself, I think like there's a certain point where I'd be willing to give up, but discipline has to be the thing to keep you going, right? Do you have that too, or do you think that your life is a little bit more chaotic and sporadic and you just kind of like pursue the things you got? Or is there an aspect of like discipline or like, I have to do this every day that you feel inside to be able to do the things that you're doing today in terms of like fight school and business school and the business training?
That's really funny that you asked that because I personally think a lot of people would say that I have a lot of discipline because I get up and I do all this stuff. I'll work out, I'll do the work for the stuff. But I think I have no discipline because I get up at a different time every day. Nothing is ever planned. I wake up and I do. Like I always tell people, like I fly by the seat of my pants insanely. I literally like university I'm going to. I never set foot on campus until my first class. Apartment I live in right now. I didn't even go to that apartment building. I didn't even look at it online, what the inside looked like until the day I was moving in. I just found out. So I like fly by the seat of my pants. Nothing is prepared.
You get upset with yourself if you miss out on something?
Yeah, I get pretty upset, which is why I think it's like it's beautiful chaos because it feels very chaotic, but I do think like subconsciously I still have things planned out to a like degree. Like I know what order I'm going to do stuff in, how much time the stuff's going to take. So it's a little bit of both.
Yeah. That's interesting. I think I get up. I try to get up at the same time every day, but I usually end up getting up at a variety of different times. And then I used to try to fly by my seat of the pants quite a lot, and I found that I started to miss stuff. Like I would miss this thing or miss doing that thing and forget about this or that or whatever. So I started to do like more reminder schedule based. But I see the value in kind of like just going with the flow and just like working as much as you can throughout the whole day too, and not really worrying too much about a schedule. Like I see both sides.
Well,
Coin.
this like the last like 4 months especially, I've missed a lot of stuff, and I am working to like I've come up with a schedule for my business of how things are going to be done. Like I sat down and wrote this all out, and I have everything prepared. I just need to buy some stuff and then make the steps forward on that. But I am getting ready to start actually writing things down and acting like an adult instead of like a middle schooler. So it definitely has negatively affected me, the chaos in it. I've missed out on a lot of stuff, endless amounts of homework assignments, which is not my fault, all right? They're due at 9 in the morning on Friday, and I have that class at 12 on Tuesday. There's no reason why they should be 9 in the morning on Friday. If like the class is on a Tuesday at 10, I could understand Friday.
It's to alleviate the pressure on you so you don't feel like you have to do it over the weekend.
Yeah.
It's actually for your
Why is it 9 in the morning?
Well, they'd rather let you work 18-hour days through the school week and then nothing on the weekends.
Yeah.
It's fucking stupid, dude. College is
Yeah, it really pisses me off that because I miss so many assignments because of that, man. Like,
dude, this fucking room we would miss assignments in. Like we would sit here doing work at Florida Tech and miss shit all the time. Or like cram it last second. I would study for tests in this exact room and then bomb them. Like
Vibes.
yeah, dude. I fucking not a vibe.
Yeah.
We had a class called Vibrations, which was just an absolute cancer. It's terrible.
Stage 4 cancer terminal. It was terrible.
Dude, it almost stopped me from graduating. We had a fall of my.
I almost did graduate because
We
of
had,
that.
I think we had a fall of our senior year, and I was like, "Man, dude, like I'm not getting anything. I'm not picking up anything this teacher's putting down." The first 2 weeks were easy, and I was like, "Oh, spring, got it. Damper, got it. That's the whole class." And then week 3, he started pulling out this whack shit. It's like, what if you stack a spring on a damper within an inverted spring on a coil? And I'm like, when the fuck am I gonna
Drop a rock on it.
Yeah, but the rock isn't symmetrical, so it applies this force unevenly.
Yeah, find it as a function of time.
So what are you hoping to get out of your business by making a schedule, like making a calendar? Consistency, like
Balance, maybe?
balance. Stop missing homework assignments and extra credits and exams. Missed 2 exams this semester. Thank God I can make them up, but I'm tired of forging doctor's notes.
Nice.
Money probably, like it would just be. If I get more into a schedule, I'll stop spending money on stupid shit. Yeah, like I spend a lot of money on stupid. My credit card statement, I almost maxed out my credit card, dude. There's no reason for me.
What are you buying?
That shit for my girlfriend.
Man,
What's
the phrase I love?
Oh, I can't remember.
You'll lose a lot of money chasing women, but you will lose no women chasing money. But yeah, I feel you, dude. I feel you. I think that meal prepping has helped me a lot and cut down on spending on.
That's not it entirely, too. I did buy a $200 pair of headphones and lose them in less than 12 hours. That's also on me.
It's a good decision.
I bought $156 bottle of cologne. That's on me. But I'm wearing it right now. I'm getting my uses out.
Who are you trying to impress? You've got a girlfriend.
Both of y'all. Come on.
How much of your money from your business is going back into the business?
All of
versus
it.
your headphones.
All of it.
Okay.
All of that.
Where do you get your money for your headphones? Credit card.
That credit card statement. Okay, listen. Credit cards have not paid off.
They're expensive headphones.
I listen to the headphones while I brew.
Yeah, no.
I listen to the Vision 79 podcast while I brew. I need headphones.
Do you have a job? Is that what you're doing?
No, I don't. I mean, the business is my job.
All the money goes back into the business, but outside of winning, it doesn't go back into.
So if all the money goes back into business, where does your headphone and fuck around money come from?
The business. Everything's a write-off.
All is relative.
I got accountant dude, and he's like, he'll do like all this stuff for $750. He's like, if I have to do any extra work, it's gonna be extra money. I know he's gonna charge me like $2,000 because I put so much shit on the business cards that are not for the business, dude. You can't imagine the stuff I bought that's not for the business, man.
Dude, we've had business cards for like a year. I've used it maybe 6 times. Maybe 6. There's nothing on those at all.
Like $80 of Chinese food on it the other week.
You're like, peak. You're like peak 14-year-old that learns how LLCs work, and you're like, dude, wait, hang on. I don't know what write-off means. I don't know what write-off means other than I don't have to actually pay for it with their money.
You are the 1% of businesses that get audited by the
Especially when you talk about it on a podcast.
It won't happen to me, bro.
No, like I put some really stupid shit on it. I can't even. I think I put like I think I put these shoes on it. I'm not really even sure, man. I can't even remember.
How fucking terrible would the conversation be if you pulled up the Kahuna Craving statement and they were fucking Air Jordan? So that would be a fucking world ender.
These are dunks, brother. It's different.
I don't fucking know. Dude.
They're $105. They were
I'm so white, man. Can't tell you. All right. So how'd you come up with the idea for your business?
okay. Well, so
How do you tell your customers that their tea sucks without telling your customers that their tea sucks?
And that yours.
I told them that, dude. I went to Kava Sutra and they're like, we made bottle kratom tea. And they asked me to try it. I tried it and I told them this shit's ass. And she's like, I really don't think that. And I was like, no, it's terrible.
You're like, I'm going to go make my own and bring it back and sell it to you.
Oh, you're talking about, okay, you're still asking like how I came up with the business. That is a completely different thing.
Okay.
I was just getting into kratom and I was trying to, because I was moving, right? I was getting ready to move and I didn't understand that kava bars were like existed in other places across Florida because whenever I talked to any of my friends, they never really heard of them.
Right.
So I was under the assumption this was only like a local Brevard deal.
Sure.
So I was looking up online. I was like, bottled kratom tea. Shit. I have no results. Canned kratom tea. No results.
Yeah.
And then I'm like sitting there. I'm like, fuck, no one makes it. And I go, fuck, no one makes it. So I start making bottled kratom tea. And then I find out why no one makes it. There's a reason. Is because the people who know about kratom and drink kratom tea go to kava bars. And so there isn't a place on the market for a bottled kratom tea, really. And where are you going to sell it? Smoke shops, maybe. Kava bars, definitely not, man.
Dude, it would
really
break the world if you could get into like Publix or Stop and Shop.
You might not know these. There are kava bars. They're popping up everywhere. But like you say, your friends outside of here that are out of Brevard, they're not everywhere yet. There's a lot in St. Pete. There's a lot in Brevard. There are a few down in Miami-Dade. But the bulk of them are in Florida.
Florida's one in New Orleans now.
There's one in New Orleans. There's one in the entire state of
To the New Orleans one.
Go.
When I went on my little work trip in January, and there was that one kava bar I went to. Yeah, that's the one I went to.
Yep, there's one in Mass or New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. There is that. Should be one in Mass now too, though. He said he was opening another location.
Right. And if we're counting them on our hands, do you know that kratom is a $1.3 billion
Industry in Florida.
No, in the nation.
I thought it was you. As a statistic I read was in Florida alone, but I think it's how they count the sales.
How do you mean?
Okay, well, if you're counting like the imports, or if you're counting the distributor, or you're counting the final end sales, depending on how they count the sales, I think the number is a lot different. Because I saw one where it was almost $1 billion in Florida.
Okay, but Florida is also the hot spot here, so it could be almost $1 billion in Florida and 1.3 overall. But generally speaking, let's just say for the sake of it, well, 1.5, right? We'll say that 1.3 is like closer to Florida. Let's just say it's $1.5 billion industry in 2023. That's when I saw that statistic. So 2024 probably closer to 2. And then it has the potential I've seen by 2026 to be close to like a $4 billion industry in the United States. So it's growing like crazy. And this is what we figured out with Kahuna Cravings. If you're the first to do something, it doesn't even have to be spectacular. Like it just has to be like the first and you can get a foothold in.
Well, the great thing is that your tea happens to be spectacular as well. That's not even just like kind of like the first of its kind in some ways. It actually is spectacular in multiple senses.
It is actually the first of its kind. And I don't do bottled teas anymore for the reason that they don't sell. I would love to get into canning at some point, but just so that I can get it into other places. Like I would like the bottles. Bottles are canning, really the same. I mean, I know like they're very different in packaging, but same concept. I want to be able to bottle it and ship it places. But for now, I actually stopped doing the bottles because the bottles, you have to either get some pretty expensive machines to do it efficiently, because the amount of stuff that people are drinking of it already, if I were to do it in bottles, I'd have to be making like probably 600 bottles a week, not more, because it's growing. I've got a handful of places that have given me their numbers and said, when you're ready to supply, hit us up. But to answer your question from earlier, just, before we get too off topic from that, so I find out that there's the reason why people don't make a bottled kratom tea is because it doesn't have a place in the market. So now I've got all this shit. I'm almost $3,000 in the hole. And I'm like, all right, I'm about to move away, try and, live on my own, and I'm going to be dead fucking broke.
Nice.
And I've been warned by my dad my entire life. He's like, you do not want to work your way through college. You don't want to be broke in college, like dead broke. You don't want to have to be paying per semester as you go along. So I was like, I need to recoup my costs. So I sat down, and over the course of a couple weeks, I was thinking about, I went in and I actually talked with a bunch of people, suppliers, distributors, all sorts of different stuff, shop owners, coffee bar owners. And I basically compiled something together that was my analysis of the industry. And so using this analysis of the industry, I found out what is missing in the industry and what people are buying. And so a large part of the kratom industry is in extracts. And because a lot of people who drink kratom are ex-addicts or just naturally have a high tolerance. A lot of people have a naturally high tolerance to kratom. And people who've been in it for a long time, you build a tolerance quickly. So there's a very small amount of the community that's actually just buying like kratom teas because they're not very strong. But a lot of those people, like I have a cousin who was addicted to heroin for years, and he got off of it and he uses kratom to keep himself off of it. But
That's
he can't
awesome.
go, yeah, it's amazing, man. He started his own business and everything. He's got a family. He's doing great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but he can't really go to college bars because there's not like a social space for him there. Because the amount of tea that he'd drink, dude, he'd go broke like that.
Right.
So I set out to make a drink for people who have that high tolerance, who were addicts, to go out and still be able to enjoy themselves in a coffee bar without feeling like, that they are
Wasting a whole paycheck out of
just in a whole paycheck, or you just feel really out of place. Everybody's sitting there sipping on tea and you're down in extracts.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that same social feel. And so that's how I came up with that recipe.
Sander burned like half of every paycheck paying for me to hang out with him at Kama Sutra for like the second half of our entire senior year at college. It was like we would hang out and do work together like on campus, and then he would go hang out at the bar and he'd be like, dude, come hang out at the bar. And I'd be like, dude, I have no money. And it's funny you mentioned your dad saying you don't want to work your way through college, because my dad had to work his way through college. And he told me through all of high school, he was like, you need to save your money. Like, you're going to go broke and that's a bad thing. You need to budget. And I didn't want to hear it. I just blew my fucking wad all the time. And he was waiting for me to come ask him for money so he could have the I told you so moment and then give me money and like make me indebted to him. And I made him wait for that moment, and he's still waiting for it, because every summer I would get a job and like work my ass off to make as much money as possible. So I'd go into the school year with like 15 grand in my pocket and then like make that last throughout the year. But when I got to college, everything starts to cost a little more. So I ran out of money. I had $0 in my bank account in February of my senior year. And I was like, my first paycheck doesn't hit till July. How the fuck am I going to make it till July with no gas money or anything? So I worked a bunch of different jobs making ends meet. I stole my mom's car to DoorDash stuff. I started flipping shit on Facebook Marketplace. So I'd buy painting for $20 to sell it for $25. All kinds of little odd end shit to like make it through that gap to my first paycheck. And my dad I never had to ask my dad for money. And I'm so proud of that. But man, like I was sweating for a bit of that. So the fact that you're actually going out and making a business while you're still in college is really impressive. And the product's fucking fantastic.
Was there something other than like seeing a gap in the market that inspired you to make that Teave Tea specifically?
Like with the recipe it is now?
Just like making a tea product or a business out of it. Like, was there something other than the fact that like, oh, I see this as an opportunity? Like, were you really passionate about the product? It seems like you are, but I just want to kind of like clarify, like, you're really passionate about the product, or like, what is the thing that really drove you?
So I started to actually see benefits from it that I wasn't seeing before. And so it became something a lot more personal to me. Definitely a huge part of it was just seeing that opportunity. And as I was making it, man, with Kahuna Cravings, how fun was it just creating the recipes with each other starting in the beginning?
That's cool. Dude, the beginning was fantastic.
Oh my God, you want
And
me?
as soon as we figured it out, I hated it. As soon as it was just like doing the same thing every week, I wanted to fucking die. But figuring it out was a lot of fun, and having people try it and sample it and stuff.
Yeah, I'll tell you what my first recipe was because it was really funny. My first recipe ever, but not even like strong stuff. Very first recipe. It was kratom, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna make it taste great. And I'm like, people are adding like a little bit of juice at the end of it. I go, nah, fuck it, it's all juice. So I got a bunch of cranberry juice, and I dumped it in there, and I didn't use any fucking water. And I used all cranberry juice, not the bitter cranberry juice,
Right.
but the cranberry ocean spray juice, because I used to drink that shit by like the gallon. And so yeah, I used only that. I didn't even use any water. It came out, it was vomitable. That's because I was using like really powderized like kratom. And so when I would filter it, I didn't have like a strainer that was fine enough to get it out, because there's no such thing as a strainer that's fine enough to get powder out.
Right.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah, we know.
So I was trying to pour it through a coffee filter, and it stopped up immediately, and I lost my mind and just flipped everything in there. So it was just literally like a sludge.
No, it's so funny. Santa and I, we were doing Kahuna Cravings. We were doing the math because we were making good money. Like the split was good. The production to sale value was awesome. But we met Max, the guy who makes the red cap extracts. Yeah. And we were like, dude, making extract can't be that difficult because the baked good stuff isn't that difficult. We worked out like a really good recipe over like maybe 4 months. So like extract, we could probably knock out in 2 months. So we made extract once. And it was the only time we needed, because we made that exact sludge, but without the cranberry juice. It was terrible. It was like water and a little bit of lemonade and like a shit ton of kratom powder, like fucking stewed.
Yeah, like we had that like jelly or whatever it was. It was like that. Yeah, it was like a petroleum jelly or something like that. Remember that? We added that.
Was it powder? It was the powdered stuff?
No. We added some
petroleum jelly.
Or did we make it with alcohol?
We didn't use alcohol.
No.
It fucking sucked. It was
it was terrible.
We bought a super fine. We tried coffee filters, didn't work. We tried a French press. We fucked that up so bad. I think I returned it in the box with this hope they didn't open the box. And then we bought like a big bag of like, it's meant to strain for like gold. So like you bring it to like a gold mine and you fill it with dirt, and then like the dirt washes out and the gold stays. And we tried that, and like it just fucking smudged over immediately. You couldn't get anything out of it. And then I started talking to Max, and he was like, oh yeah, dude, you can go online and buy this industrial equipment from like 80% off. And I'm like, wow, show me. And so he's like, look, there's this like super hydro mixolizer that's usually $35,000. I can get it for $5,000. And I'm like, you use a super hydro mixolizer? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, well, I guess I can't make this at home in a fucking pot with a French press then. So we gave up on it. But dude, props to you for figuring this out. Were you able to make it without specialized equipment, or did you make did you have to buy the specialized equipment to get it to happen?
A mix of both. My original batches were not as good because I didn't have specialized equipment. But working with something like this, I definitely needed to make specialized equipment to make it as strong as it is. Because if you take it, it's very, very pure. Like if you hold it up to a light, you'll see no sediment, and you'll see that it's almost like a lighter yellowish, like orangish color.
Yeah.
That makes it sound like it's the color of piss, but it's not.
It's like amber.
Amber. That's a good way of putting it. And so it definitely required some equipment to do it. It's not something that you can just make, in your kitchen without any equipment. I definitely had to. Part of getting to this recipe was upgrading and spending a bunch of like stupid money on stupid shit to figure out what works. But yeah, the creative industry is a little bit more like lucrative than people realize. Like they're using some really expensive equipment to make this stuff. Like all of your favorite products is made using expensive equipment. It's not like it's not kitchen science. It's real science.
Right. Which is extra impressive because we made our super good baked goods out of basically regular kitchen stuff.
Yeah.
We had a couple techniques that we used that needed some specialty tools, but like there wasn't any $15,000 equipment.
No, it was all simple.
But be honest with me. How much of this did you ChatGPT?
None of it.
Attaboy.
None of it.
Attaboy.
Wow.
How did you, so you made your first batch and it sucked. What did you improve on your second batch? And how did you determine that? Did you try to?
Are you talking about like the one after I used all the cranberry juice?
Yeah. How did you?
After the jack shit, I reused the cranberry juice again. And I did that for a while. And then I tried adding tea bags to it.
Okay.
So
you would just try different methods and different techniques, like iteratively?
Yeah.
And as you found one that you liked, you'd keep it and then introduce something else for the next one?
Yeah, it's pretty much exactly what happened until I reached the point where I was at now. There's multiple points where I came here. I was like, okay, I've got this recipe. I don't like this about it. I like this about it. So I just wipe all this half of the recipe and start with this and start adding things to it. So it took me like 10 months to come up with the recipes I have now. It took a long time to figure it out.
How did you know when you were done?
Um, I'm not even done now. I think that the recipe still has room to improve and that it will be slightly changing, only for the better. I'm never gonna compromise and switch out for crappy ingredients and stuff, only for the better. But I don't think there's ever, I don't know. I think I'll know I'm done when I'm done. But even now, I do occasionally make minor tweaks to the recipe. So like if you try this one versus like the first one I made that was sold at Nocturne,
Right.
you'll say this one's a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Even though everybody loved the first one, it's because I can keep making it better and better, especially with the more money I have, better materials I can buy, stuff like that. These, I think, can double in quality from this, honestly. Like, I think they can be a lot better.
Good. What are your goals, long-term goals for the business?
Long-term goals for the business, I want to be able to show and give an alternative product to a lot of products out there that are not healthy for you, that are just pure extract based, that don't really provide a lot of the health benefits that Kratom tea can provide to you. And I want to make it something that can help introduce Kratom tea to an audience that needs it, that doesn't know it exists. Because I have a different recipe for tea that's not as strong, that I think would be great to use to introduce to people who've never had Kratom tea. That's why I want to get into bottling and canning at one point, is I want to start being able to reach out to places and people that could use it and that possibly need it in their lives.
So do you think your target demographic is like recovering alcoholics or addicts or just people who haven't tried it yet, but like don't want to vape anymore and don't want to smoke weed? They're looking for some type of high, but not a different high. Who's your target demographic? Who's your ideal customer?
My ideal customer? I wouldn't say I have an ideal customer personally. My customer base ranges from, addicts that were addicts for 10 years, people who've never drank alcohol in their life. Like, it's just all over the age groups too. I've got people that are like 80 years old coming in there buying it. I've got people that have just turned 21 buying it. So I don't think there is a real target audience with this. I think the goal is to make the market for Kratom bigger.
Okay.
And so I want to capture a large demographic with it. Ideally, I want to introduce it as something that, because right now, I think personally, from what I've seen, a lot of people look down on it the same way that they did weed for a really long time, that it was a lower class poor drug.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people look at Kratom like a lower class poor drug, when I wouldn't even really categorize it as a drug.
And I don't categorize it as
Yeah.
drug.
A lot of people view it that way, though.
Yeah.
And I don't think it should be
Doesn't the
classified.
federal government still classify it as a class 1 drug?
No, it's a uncontrolled substance.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't think it needs to be viewed as a drug or as like a low class thing. I want it to be something that people of all sorts of, incomes can enjoy.
Yeah. How did you find Kava bars, Kratom? Because Sandra directly introduced it to me. And it was a poor introduction, dude. It was Kava Sutra for like a fucking foosball night, and I fed her up.
I remember. First time I ever went, I went to Island Root, and me and my
First experience. Yep.
Yeah, EGAD, exactly. We were outside, me and my friend, first Kratom drink we ever had was a Mitra. We split a Mitra. She didn't heed the warning, went back for a second, and threw up an entire chicken pot pie at my feet.
Whoa.
Didn't go back for like a year.
Okay.
I get brought back by a good friend of mine. We were back down from college for the summer, and he brought me out to Island Route off of like downtown Melbourne, the downtown Melbourne one.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, the one by the parking garage.
Yeah.
We would sit outside and we would just talk about music. It's really nice outside there. Like, I love the outside area. I know, like, just around the corner, there's like shootings and stuff.
Hey, yeah.
But that specific spot right there is nice. I liked it. And then Tea Club opened up. I went to Tea Club, but I stopped going, really. I didn't really get any interest for it. And then I eventually started going to Pau Hana with another good friend of mine consistently. And I actually started going consistently because Pau Hana is really nice to sit down and work. And I was able to sit down. And that's when I took 20 classes in 1 year.
Yeah.
Was when I got into kava bars, and I would just sit there and I'd sip on kratom and I'd do all my work, and I made straight A's doing 20 classes a year.
Yeah.
It was insane. But
Yeah. That's what the kava bars did for me, is they gave me a space to work, and it wasn't straight A's, but it was passing, and that's all I needed.
well, I also was not in the engineering program.
Yeah. Engineering fucking sucks. You mentioned music. What kind of music do you like?
I really like definitely grunge, indie, rock. I like hip hop and R&B. Yeah, I love Nirvana, man.
Yeah, a Nirvana hater over here.
Ooh, I got the baby dick poster on my wall.
Oh, what?
I got the baby dick poster on my wall.
That's so funny.
But I mean, I love a lot of different
play?
kinds of music. Yeah, I play guitar.
Nice, dude. Do you and Joel ever jam out? Do you know Joel from Pau Hana? He's the brewer there.
Yeah. No, we don't jam out ever. I don't really like to play guitar with people because I'm not that good. I can play a handful of songs and I can kind of make stuff up. But when people start like really shredding or they're doing like arpeggios and shit, I'm like, all right, like, can we stick to like 3-4 chord songs, same progression?
Yeah. My brother played guitar. My brother played fucking everything,
I
actually.
can actually play ukulele too. It's not really far off,
Dude.
but I love the ukulele.
I'd love to learn the uke,
It's really, really simple.
but I'm really, really autistic.
I can tell, but I can teach you a song
I've
of like
got-
5 minutes.
I learned piano when I was a kid, and my brother learned at the same time. And at the same time, he got so good so fast, he started learning the violin. And then he got bored when he had mastered both instruments in under a year. And so he started playing guitar, and then electric guitar, and then all the different flavors of guitar. And then he got a drum set. And then from there, he got bored with that, and he started learning whatever other fucking instruments he learned at school. He was in the band and the orchestra, so he started learning cello and shit because they had cellos there. The kid is a musical talent, and he can still play today. He hasn't touched a piano in like fucking 5 years, and he'll sit down and he'll just like bust out. He used to play, you know, the Davy Jones theme song from Pirates of the Caribbean. Davy Jones plays with both hands and 10 tentacles, and my brother can do it with sugar hat. But yeah, dude, he is musically talented, but I was never that good. I realized that I learned to play piano, not to read sheet music. So I would look at the music and then do the fingers until I remembered what my finger pattern should be doing.
Yeah.
And then I could play without sheet music because I just remembered what the fingers should do. And my brother, the non-autistic one, learned how to read sheet music. So whatever instrument you show him, you just show him what each music note means, and then he can play it. He's a savant.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's who you want flying your fighter jets. Not, I'm a fucking dead. I can't.
You want a musician flying your fighter jets?
Pretty much, dude. It's like a well-balanced instrument, you know? There's this book series that I read growing up that had there was a concept in the book that there were these rocks that floated. So like small rocks like float like this high, but big rocks are huge. And if you heat them up, they go higher, and if you cool them down, they get lower, right? So people would build.
What book was
It's a fantasy book. It's
They
a
had this concept where there were floating rocks. So it's the main point of the story.
no, but it's the cool part of the story because the rest of the story was fantastic. They were called the Edge Chronicles. It's like a fantasy land where there's an entire civilization built on this edge, and the further away you go-
Pretty on
not
like
age
Final
well.
Fantasy 14, like that kind of vibe.
So these rocks, if you heat them up, they go higher. If you cool them down, they go lower, right? So people would take these huge fucking like house-sized boulders, and they would build like pirate ships on them. And then they would have different weights at different parts of the ship. And the control had a wheel like a regular pirate ship, but also all these levers where you control the heating and cooling of the rocks and the weights and stuff to move the ship through the air. And I always loved that concept. And I loved playing piano because it felt like I was moving around the different levers to like make a ship go. I thought it was so cool.
That is cool.
Then I got into race cars, which is pretty much that.
Yeah.
I digress.
But without rocks. Hopefully with less rocks. And
It was a cool book series. I've only met like 3 people who've ever heard of it, let alone read it. Anyways, what are your short-term goals? What are you trying to do right now with the business?
Expand. I need to get into a couple more places.
How many?
I'm up to get into 3 more by like, let's say February-ish.
Are you going to do all that brewing yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't
You
want
do
to
it at full time?
no, I don't think I need to do it full time.
Wow. Okay. So you can go, that's 5 places, right? and all yourself.
All myself. I won't need to do it full time. I'll just need to be back in town maybe
That's
do it
fantastic. That's fantastic.
2 days a week maybe.
Wow, you can get all that done in 2 days a week.
Yeah,
That's
probably.
fantastic, Teave.
So that's where I want to be at, because at that point I'll have money to really start expanding and growing.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, again, like I just need I need to expand. I need to change locations. I need to get my name out there. I need to work on marketing stuff. Really big thing for me.
Marketing stuff.
Well, Mark,
Getting your name out there.
Yeah.
yes.
So yeah, like this. No, but I need to like create like a marketing plan, dude. I need to create a business plan. That would really help me.
We've created some, and we've never used them.
Usually, though, business plans, my methodology is that the function of a business plan is to go to a bank and say, listen, dude, I have a strategy. I need you to bet on me and give me this money so that I can do this plan. And the plan is like, I know how to brew this tea. I need money for more equipment so I can brew more tea. And then I'm going to sell it out of all these different bars. And here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to say to those people to get them to buy my tea. And then the bank goes, okay, sounds good. Here's some money. But you've got all that covered. I think what you need is a scaling strategy, which is how do you take what you currently have and then make more of it and sell more of it?
Yeah, do more, do better.
Right. Do more, do better. 10X Grant Cardone.
Right.
But yeah, marketing is a big one. So I would soak up as much information about marketing as you can. We've had a lot of really fun ideas. Dude, honestly, just
Like a really fun idea for a video.
yeah, dude, videos, TikToks, stationary posts, going on podcasts, right? You've already done it with 2 podcasts now, which is great. But dude, Tanner and I, we would sit in rooms like this with a whiteboard and just fucking brainstorm different advertising ideas spurred out.
I've got some fun videos I want to make for sure that you're going to see coming. I can go ahead and tell you about one that's coming real soon that I'm going to be working on.
This airs not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow. So if you think it'll be done before then,
I don't think it'll be done before then, but I think it's going to be still a really fun video for people to, get a little hype to see. I think it's going to be a really stupid video. Going to be like, say you and me are walking towards each other. It's going to be me walking towards my friend. I'm going to bump into his shoulder. I'm going to spill his drink. And he's one of the guys I train MMA with. He's going to be like, yo, what the fuck? You just spilled a Teave? And then it's going to cut to us boxing with gloves that are on fire.
you know what's really interesting is that what do Red Bull and Coca-Cola have in common?
Red?
No, they don't market drinks. They market emotion. Think of any Red Bull commercial. What's going on?
Well, that's why
It's just hype shit. It's just
that's
crazy.
where I originally got like my ideas for business from was Liquid Death. Liquid Death is the same thing.
Yep.
They're selling water in a fucking can.
Yep.
And they're making millions of dollars doing it.
Yeah,
Rad. Yeah, because they put a cool skull logo on it. I put a cool logo on mine.
yeah,
And then they do really stupid ads.
yeah, yeah. Because when they're selling their product, they're selling an experience. So when you drink Red Bull, you feel like you're boxing with gloves on fire, right? And when you drink Coke, every advertisement, it's people with friends and family. So when you drink a Coke, you feel at home, etc. They're selling an emotion, right? But think of 7-Up. What are 7-Up commercials about?
I've never.
I don't know if I've seen one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why. It's kind of like you've heard the Lamborghini quote from
Yeah.
Guy.
Well, it's like people who buy Lamborghinis don't need advertisements on TV.
Yeah, because
They don't watch any now. Yeah, and they don't watch TV.
Exactly. Which is a fucking advertisement in itself, right?
Yeah.
But Rory Sutherland has been on the Chris Williamson Modern Wisdom podcast before. His stuff is fucking fantastic when it comes to advertising and marketing. Because, dude, I'll tell you right now, taking pictures of your product and posting it online is a really great way to remind people about it, but not a great way to hook up. So, like, the way to hook them is to make like targeted ads to your demographic. Testimonials are fantastic. If you can have like a website or like interviews of people talking about it, right? That would be fantastic.
I got
shit like
I got testimonials coming. They're going to be me. That's right. Taking a video of people doing testimonials, and you're gonna be able to see my shadow in the video. I'm going to be holding a gun.
Okay.
whatever works. Going the Rebel route. The Alex Ramosi says that testimonials are the highest conversion advertisement that you can do, because it's literally someone who's in your position saying, this is worth doing, do it.
Well, that's why I think a lot of those TikTok ads work really well for like the random products. Is because it's all, and that, I think that's some of the genius of those Temu products is all of those advertisements are with like real people talking about the product, talking about their experience, showing it happening. And it's like, it's not a fancy ad. It's nothing corporate. It's just like some guy showing it installed on his car or showing it in his house and talking about it. And it's like, it feels very real.
Yeah.
It's like, it makes me want to buy a cheap Apple CarPlay system for my car.
Exactly.
I mean, not really, because I'm not into that sort of thing, but I totally get that.
Right.
I actually had something that I wanted to ask you guys. I think I mentioned it to you before. I saw it in an Alex Hermosi podcast, but it's a very famous Steve Jobs thing. He would get his employees all in a room together, and the first thing he'd ask them in the meeting is, what are some things you said no to this week? Not things like saying no to going out to eat. It's saying no to opportunities that you wanted to take that you instead settled to focus on your goal for. Like, what are things you've said no to in the past 2 months?
Well, Sanders said no to our entire business last week. Oh,
Fair enough.
I figure that's a good example.
Do you want to like provide any information?
I can wow you a little bit.
I'm curious.
I'll put this back down. Just deciding to move in a little bit of a different direction that kind of checks a few more of the boxes in terms of my original intent going into business and kind of what I envisioned for myself as a venture, at least in the near future. Near future being as in like 5 years or 3 years, something like that. Going for something that's more closely tied to what I envisioned in that respect. So something that's more online based and more like e-commerce related or trading related. So kind of like just a different avenue. And so yeah, I thought about it long and hard, and it's not long and hard. It's by no means was an easy decision, although it was the decision I came to. But that was one example of something I had to say no to, in some respects. I'm happy that we have been able to maintain the podcast and maintain a good friendship and maintain a good business relationship as well, as I anticipate into the future. And I think we can still both provide a lot of value to one another in many respects. I think that I will learn things that maybe Mason may not learn in the same way, and Mason will learn lots of things that I will not learn in the same way. So I think there's a lot of value to having a community built around you that can provide feedback to you and provide help and, assist you or give advice and stuff like that. And I still value all those things greatly. But yeah, I mean, I would say that on a smaller scale level, I'd probably say no to hanging out with friends or, going out and doing this thing. It would be hard for me to count how many times we've been invited to like get-togethers by people at the cocktail bars and stuff like that. And it's always like a maybe to a no. And like the maybes end up being no's and the no's always end up being no's.
Right.
So, very far and few between that. We kind of, or I'll speak for myself, I guess, but I go for the smaller things, but I've seen you also not really go for the smaller things either. So, smaller get-togethers you have to say no to. Some things I put off, and I have to say no to myself even, like, if I recently have started working on the Porsche, but I'm still, mediating the amount of throttle I put into that project and very much meeting the amount of money I put into that project and kind of just going off of, my dad very generously got me a couple gift cards for different parts places online and stuff like that. So I've utilized those gift cards to buy some set of parts that I need to get it working. And I was like, okay, I'll just work on this as I want a little bit of break, a few hours here, a few hours there. Spent more time on it this weekend. But a large amount of that time was actually taken up by organizing the garage because it was just a disaster. But anyways, those are small semantics, but saying no even to the things you want to do yourself, I think are important. It's not just like what other people bring to the table that they want you to do with them. It's also like, what are the things that you want to do, but what are the things you need to do? I think there's a differential there as well that is important to be aware of. But if you want to piggyback off of that.
A lot of the same stuff. Personal outings and like dinners with friends and hangouts and stuff like that. My coworker had like a Friendsgiving for my work team at Northrop at her place last Saturday. And I was like, I'm not doing that. And she was like, oh, it'll be fun. Like, we'd love to have you there. And I was like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm just not.
I've missed every single one of the half a dozen work events that we've done.
Have you said no to any like really big opportunities recently or anything like that?
Yes. Actually, this was maybe like 4 months ago. Over the summer, someone approached me at work, and he was like, hey man, I really want you to come work for my team. I want you to like be my right-hand man for this upcoming contract. You would be the responsible engineer for this. It would come with a promotion and a raise and stuff. And I was like, listen, man, I'm not really here for the money. And so the promotion doesn't mean anything to me. And the job title doesn't mean anything to me. I would love to help you, but I think that you're going to expect a lot more out of me than I would be willing to give. And I expect I'll be quitting in the next couple months to start a business anyways. So I don't want to leave you high and dry. And I say that because I respect you. And he was like, what the fuck, dude? Like, that's insane. Okay. I respect that a lot, but I'm fucking pissed because I want you to come work for me. And so I was like, I'll talk to my boss and see if I can do some stretch work. So I did. And the guy they ended up hiring to take that role hasn't exactly blown them out of the water. He still comes back to me and says like, hey, I wish you had taken that job, whatever. And now I've come to really enjoy working with them. And I've thought, man, if I could go back, I probably would have taken that opportunity. Just because I wound up doing slightly more work than I anticipated at work anyways, because it's more engaging. But I don't think that's really a particularly huge opportunity. I don't think huge opportunities come my way all that often.
I think huge is relative. Anything that you say no to,
Right.
that
6 is a lot.
anything you say no to that is in favor of prioritizing something, like other opportunities. Like as much as like I understand the saying no to like going and hanging out, more what they talk about when they say things you say no to would be like if someone approached you and said, would you want to work with me? And you say no, I can't. Like that's or like when you
weeks ago.
I had 2 of those experiences within the last 4 months. There was a gentleman who wanted me to work with him on this, like, it was kind of a strange business. So it was like a bunch of different small ventures combined into one. And it almost felt like it almost felt like his products were being marketed to people who didn't know any better. And I wasn't interested anyway, but then I was like definitely not interested at all, like even being a part of that or associated with it. And I had another gentleman who approached me with a startup for some mechanical engineering stuff. He needed some like thermal analysis, stuff like that, and wanted me to be a part of it because I went to Florida Tech with him. Older guy, he actually gone back to school in his 50s, and that's when I met him. And he approached me with this like green, it's kind of like farming style.
Is it proprietary? Can you talk about?
It is proprietary, so I want to be a little bit cautious about that and respect his business and stuff. It's like in the farming field and the greenery field, and there's some thermal analyses and other important mechanical engineering problems to solve. And I told him I'd be able to help him a little bit, and I did like a couple very small things for him, but eventually I pulled myself out completely because I realized it was just taking up time. And even though it was, maybe an hour a week or something like that, it was just time I could have been working on something else. And at the end of the day, I didn't feel as passionately about that business as, the stuff that was in my primary focus. And so I said no. Well, actually, I didn't really say no. I just didn't attend the meetings and didn't respond to them, which was probably the asshole thing to do. But I didn't really have I didn't really have the heart to tell him no, though looking back on it, I probably just should have. But yeah, that was something I guess I said no to passively, in a way.
saying no is really hard. Like even like finding a way to not say no, even if you're not doing it, is what a lot of people will tend to do. And I think it is very like it's a very good skill to be able to say no to things. Like I think saying no is a lot harder than saying yes most of the time, especially when it comes to business and opportunities.
I think there's a trick to it though, because a lot of people they'll come up with a reason why they can't, not that they won't, but that they can't, and then they apologize for it. So if you ask me to come to your Friendsgiving dinner, I'll go, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I can't. I'm helping my friend move that day." But if you can stop yourself from coming up with the reason and critically not apologize for it, then the truth comes out and it doesn't sound like an asshole. Right. So when my coworker was like, oh, I'm having this Friendsgiving thing, I was like, oh, that's just not my thing. I appreciate the invite. And all that's true. And it doesn't come across like an asshole. But if I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't come that day, like I've got to help my brother move, then they know that they're getting shit sold to them, especially if it's the 8th time in a row that you've done it. And they're like, oh, well, maybe he's still busy, so maybe I'll invite him the next time. But if you just tell them like, oh, no, it's not really my thing, though I appreciate the thought, then they know, oh, I'm not going to invite him to this shit later on. And even if they do think you're an asshole, I think Hormozy points this out. Even if they do think you're an asshole, then they're definitely not going to invite you the next time, and you get what you want anyways.
Right.
But I've never had a problem saying no to people, usually because I don't really keep people close to me who would be offended by that. So if I tell people no, then I'm not worried about them getting upset with me for it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, kind of diving back into Teave Tea and the business stuff. Is this the business that you want to take to the end? Is this like your main business? You want to keep this going on? You want to, build it as far as you can and build it for as long as you see possible? And then if not, what does your 5, 10, and 30-year outlook look like? Like short term, medium term, and long term?
So no, in the end, I don't want to take this business to the very end. I would like to, be majority shareholder versus being CEO. I don't really want to do that. I want to get to a point where I'm invested in multiple different businesses, and I'm working on multiple projects at once, but I'm not in charge of any of those projects. Like I'm kind of overseeing. I want to be an investor is my end goal. Definitely running a business is a lot of work. Being an investor is a lot of work too, but it's a different kind of work. And the work that I want to get into is putting my money into this business, betting on it, telling them what to do, what they should do, but not being the one to do it. I think that at some point I would definitely want to, for within the next 5 years, as this business grows, hopefully within the next year or two, I want to find someone who I can probably partner with, which will allow me to free up some time on the business and get someone else who would seriously like to work in the business. The hard part about deciding what direction to go in regards to getting a partner, staying by myself, just like getting employees, is deciding like the value of what I need. Like, what can the person who I'm going to hire or work with bring to the business? And so that's something that in the next 5 years I need to figure out what I need in terms of what people bring to my business, what kind of people I need. Because like I said, I don't want to be CEO forever. Probably in the next 5 years I'll still be CEO, but I want to get to a point where I'm hiring people that can bring value and alleviate my responsibilities. Because hiring employees, dude, it actually doesn't alleviate your responsibilities. I know a lot of people who own businesses, and their employees more often than not fuck a lot of shit up. They can do a lot of small work, but they just fuck a bunch of stupid shit up. And I want to be sure that when I move forward, I'm picking right partners.
Right.
What does your 10-year and 30-year outlook look like? Or do you know? Or I have this big
30-year outlook. 30-year outlook is this, man. I'm sitting there. I've got 2 hot wives. I pick up the phone.
maybe 3.
You 2 is more than.
We just gotta hope my girlfriend doesn't watch this far into it.
Yeah, she's not one. 2 wives don't actually know each other either.
The 2 wives haven't been born.
I got a family in California and one in Texas.
What?
I said I have a family in California and one in Texas. Well, with an alternative lifestyle. Neither know each other. But I want to be able to pick up the phone, say, hey, I want you to fly me to Europe. Be here in 5 hours. Plane shows up, flies me to Europe. This is like some shit I saw at the airport. So like I'm not just like, this is a realistic dream, right?
You could have dreamed it up too. I don't.
Get off the plane. 5 Escalades come pick me up and drive off. I saw that happen at the airport, man.
Where do the Escalades take you?
Third wife.
Okay, so the current vision is just to ball big.
Ball big, ball hard, man. I'm gonna be new money all the way. Old money,
Everett's got big balls and hard balls.
That's funny.
Old money having class is cool, but new money and having no class with it is fun. I wanna be spending stupid shit. I wanna be posting the picture.
Sure, man, you way there with your business purchases, man. You're
Fair, Jennifer. Mickey Maces.
No, I don't.
Oh man,
You guy, I'll show him to you after the podcast. He's a guy he's big on gambling, makes a lot of money in Vegas. He lives the lifestyle that you want to live.
I just learned how to play poker the other day.
Yeah, it's so fucked, dude.
Dude,
I just recently got into crypto and gambling. It's so fucked, too. Hey, rock bottom together.
My roommate makes like 2-3 grand a month doing sports bets. Right now, he's on track to make like 5 grand.
Dude, so does who's your friend? Is your friend Ryan?
Oh, it's my roommate.
Fucking. It's my Turkish roommate.
He
Omer.
he and so I copy some of his bets sometimes, and
Dude, send him my way.
exactly, man. No, I will. It's nice. It's just a pain in the ass to copy the bets when you're so busy because he'll put them in, dude, at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. There's not like a scheduled. He puts them all in at this time. He puts them in randomly sprinkles throughout the day.
Right.
So it's kind of hard to stay on top of, but it's positive, dude. I put like, he doubled my money in one day. Like I put $100 in, he got me 200.
Sander bet on the election. And so I was telling my coworker about it, and we pulled it up on his computer. And in this site, it wasn't the site Sander was using, but it was a site like it. When you buy into a bid, it's not like a bet where I put my money in and then I get double back if I win and I lose it if I lose. It's like stock. So I could have bought in at like Donald Trump at 20% likely to win the election. And then as they count the votes, that goes up or down, right? So it's like trading stocks, but it's betting. And I was like, I'm not gonna bet on the election because I don't trust anyone here. Like I
don't trust the extra 20 million votes in 2020.
I don't trust any of them, man. For all I know, I voted for both candidates. So, but I did find out that you can bet there on Formula One. And I already spend fucking 10 hours a weekend watching Formula One anyways. And usually I multitask and do it while I do other shit. But I was like, dude, if I'm already spending the time watching this, why don't I make money on it too? Why not, right? So I had to get crypto to do that. So I've learned more about crypto as a part of that experience. And it sucked because it's so interesting, and I know it's just a fucking dead end. So I'm trying to stay as far out of it as possible. But you'll love the Mickey Mace lifestyle.
Yeah, you want to ball big. You have these lavish aspirations. Kind of bring it down to like your current circle. How do you see your personal and family life changing as you evolve as a businessman?
They all kiss my ass.
Do you see like trying to like retire your family or like, be philanthropic or, help your friends out with different ventures? Like, how do you see yourself as a person in that sense?
I would love to be like, a little bit of a philanthropist. I don't want to be one of those guys that, because I used to ballet and you'd go out, they'd be like, oh, we're having a philanthropist event. We're all going to come out and donate a bunch of money. Dude, I was like, and they come out, they throw like these multi-million-dollar parties. Dude, I was sitting outside of one of them, and those people are such jackasses, man. One of them came out and they're talking to us like, oh, there's a lot of money in there tonight. I don't give a shit.
Like, but the reason that sucks is because they're doing it because they want you to see them doing it.
Yeah, no. So I'd want to.
Have you seen the Larry David skit on Anonymous Donor?
No.
Oh man, he does this awesome skit. And
Who's Larry David?
he's the guy who did Seinfeld. He built Seinfeld.
Jerry Seinfeld?
No.
He's like,
Sorry, he built. Was it? No. He was one of the directors on.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay,
Screw that. I think Seinfeld. Anyways, he made his own short on Curb Your Enthusiasm. He made his own
I've heard of that.
Yeah, and so on Curb Your Enthusiasm, there's a skit where he talks about the anonymous donor and how he goes to this charity event and he donated a bunch of money and he got a plaque that said Larry David on it. And then some other guy donated and he got a plaque that said anonymous. And everyone talked about the anonymous plaque. And there was like whispers of like, oh, it's Kevin. Kevin did it. And it like whispers around. And so the anonymous plaque gets way more attention than his plaque did. Because it's like this like conspiracy of like who did it. And like, then Kevin comes out at the end and he's like, I donated a little amount, but I didn't want anyone to know. I didn't want the blah, blah, blah. Like this whole skit of like how anonymous he is and how like, you get what I'm saying, humble he wants to be, right? But it's like the complete opposite.
Yeah.
He's just doing the anonymous thing because he knows people will find out and it's so much less humble to do it that way. Yeah, that was really funny. But anyways, I interrupted you for that.
Yeah.
But you see yourself a little bit as giving back and being a
I would like to give back. I think I would definitely I have like this problem where every time I see a stupid looking animal, I always mark it down like as I want it as a pet. Done. But like I got a lot of things I want as a pet. Most of them are illegal to own as pets. So I want to open up a
Orals.
Yeah, I want to open up like a research facility or like a or something,
Where you are such a money wanderer in the making. I don't know if we can air this, dude. I'm just gonna end up fucking 4K.
where I can own all these pets that you can't own.
Because it's a research facility. The fact you put it in air quotes is hilarious. God. Man, I've never hoped that someone makes in business less because of the nefarious things you're gonna do. But why don't you tell people before we wrap up, where can they find Teave Tea today? What can they follow? We'll have everything linked.
All right, I'm gonna pull it up right here.
What bars do you sell it in?
I
What are the prices?
All right, I said a Nocturne Teas right now and Crack and Kava Bar right now. We're gonna be moving into Pau Hana soon, and there's a couple Kava bars on the way. But if you need any information based on that, you can find all of that information on my Instagram. I don't know if you want to bring this up and let
We'll link it in the description. Yeah, we'll
Okay.
pull up an image. What
it
you
is
talked about.
Teave.tea on Instagram. That's where I post all my information on it. You can see my merch on there, which I just started putting out the merch. If you guys want to go look on there, I wish I brought the hoodie with me. It's super cool. You'll put up a picture of it.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Teave spelled Teave. So
Yeah, and so that's where you can find everything on there. I'm going to be having a website. If you need anything, you can reach out. I answer all the messages on there. That's the easiest way to reach me is through the Instagram. I'm also on TikTok, technically. I don't have anything posted or anything like that.
Well, like it.
But right now, that's like all I have. But as far as locations, Nocturne Teas, Crack and Kava, and stay tuned and follow the Instagram because I'll be posting a lot more locations and when I have it in my online store and everything, which will be set up very soon.
All right. Awesome stuff, dude.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
We like to wrap each podcast with a segment called Dialing In. We've had a wide-ranging discussion about a lot of stuff, but Everett, I think, is particularly inspiring to me because of how young he is and how hard he works in many different endeavors, not just in business, but in school and in his personal life, etc. So the quote I have today is a Ryan Blair quote. I don't know who he is, but I think he's a Ryan.
heard the name.
I think this is actually a quote that I've used before, but I love it so much and it's so applicable to today. The quote is, "If it is important to you, you will find a way. If not, you will find an excuse." Thank you for listening.